America has always been at war with its own promise. From the moment Jefferson inked those immortal words, all men are created equal, the contradiction was not hidden. It was carved into the marrow of the Republic, a nation born of Enlightenment breath, but choked by the fetid hands of plantation power. A democracy built on the bones of slaves and the ashes of sovereign nations. That contradiction was never resolved. It was buried, decorated, taught in textbooks as noble compromise, but compromise with tyranny is not peace. It is delay, and delay is how injustice survives. The First Reconstruction was a miracle, a moral uprising of freed men and radical legislators who dared to codify human dignity into the structure of a broken state. For a brief moment, liberty stretched across the South. Black schools flourished. Land was seized from traders and parceled to the formerly enslaved. Democracy, real democracy, flickered to life in a country that had never known it. But that flicker terrified the powerful. The plantation class rebranded itself as law and order. White mobs became deputies. The North retreated, and the noose replaced the ballot. The Second Reconstruction, misnamed the Civil Rights Movement, never claimed power. It begged for access. It won legislation, but lost the war. Dr. King died with his hands still outstretched toward economic justice. And as soon as the ink dried on the Voting Rights Act, the backlash began. The Southern strategy, the war on drugs, the conversion of black neighborhoods into open-air carceral zones, from Jim Crow to Jim Crow 2.0. The arc didn't bend. It was snapped, reformed, weaponized. And now we stand again at the edge of another era. The fascists are no longer subtle. The oligarchs no longer pretend to share. The lies have grown lazy. And the people, the workers, the tenants, the dispossessed, they know. Something fundamental must change. And not cosmetically, not incrementally, but at the root. The Third Reconstruction is not a program. It is a reckoning. It begins with reparations, not as apology, but as structural correction. Slavery was not just cruelty. It was capital formation, generational theft, enshrined as economy. To repair that theft is not charity, it is arithmetic. The unpaid labor of ancestors built the wealth that now denies their descendants access to homes, land, and credit. To repay that debt means seeding generational abundance, housing grants, trusts, educational endowments, health equity, land distribution. Not in symbolic checks, but in irrevocable systemic rights, until black wealth becomes as stable, as default as white privilege has been. The lie of equality remains intact. But reparations alone are not enough, because America did not just enslave. It erased. Entire nations wiped from the land and renamed after their murderers. Indigenous sovereignty is not a side note in the Reconstruction. It is its prerequisite. The land itself must be liberated, not through erasure of those who now live on it, but through the return of stewardship to those who never surrendered it. That means Landback. It means treaty enforcement. It means federal recognition for unrecognized tribes. It means indigenous governance over water, over forests, over sacred ground. Because the earth will not survive empire, and no empire will survive without the earth. Then comes the core, the spiritual heart of this transformation, the abolition of need as leverage, the guarantee that no human being should ever again have to earn their right to eat, to shelter, to heal, to dream. Universal basic needs is not welfare. It is the moral inverse of capitalism. Capitalism makes need a weapon. Enlightenment socialism makes need a boundary. You cross it, you violate the contract. In a just society, no child fears hunger, no elder fears eviction, No disabled body fears abandonment. If that is not true, the society is not free. And where there is no freedom, there will be violence. But we do not end violence by caging it. We end it by ending the system that creates it. The punishment economy, prisons, police, fines, surveillance. It is not justice, it is a business model. It feeds on desperation, it consumes the poor, and it reproduces itself through failure. So we end it. Not through reform, through replacement. Restorative systems built on healing. Community-based rehabilitation, not as pity, but as prevention. Justice becomes a function of balance, not vengeance, because punishment haunts becoming. And this reconstruction is built on the right to become. All of this, reparations, Landback, basic needs, post-punitive justice, it converges in a single Enlightenment principle. No one is fit to rule another. That is the root, the axiom. The truth empire cannot survive. Hierarchy is not a law of nature. It is a design of cowards. Those who cannot build must conquer. Those who cannot earn must rule. The Third Reconstruction is the end of that lineage. It is not a compromise with empire. It is its obituary. What rises in its place is not uniformity. It is diversity without domination. It is sovereignty without supremacy. It is collective life without collective chains. And for the first time in its blood-soaked history, America might finally deserve to exist. Not as a flag, not as a market, but as a civilization reborn in the image of its promise. That is what this is, the Third Reconstruction, the final chapter of the unfinished revolution. And the first chapter of a world worth living in.